It's the most wonderful time of the year. Merry Switchmas, everybody! And with Summer Game Fest, it feels like Christmas in June. We chat about some of our favorite announcements from Summer Game Fest Live, PlayStation State of Play, Xbox Showcase, Wholesome Direct, and more. It's a long one, so strap in, GOG Cast, right now.
Get ready for the Girls on Games podcast. Your weekly dose of news, reviews, and everything video games. Always served with a good helping of hype and just a pinch of salt. And now, your host, Leah.
Hello and welcome to another Girls on Games podcast. My name is Leah. I'm the host of this show. This is episode number 496. And joining me around this digital table is Catherine.
Hello.
Hi. Joelle, what's up?
Hello. I have showered but have not washed my hair since Thursday. We can probably all guess why.
Yes, and we will get into that.
Yes.
And my trials and tribulations.
The journeys are real.
The journeys are real. The stories will be happening. I told a colleague today, it's content for the podcast no matter what happens. Good, bad, or ugly. Mm-hmm. Before we get into that, let's get through some housekeeping. If you enjoy this show, we remind you that you can subscribe. We're available on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Podbean. If you'd like to get some GOG merch, you can do that by going to designbyhumans.com/shop/girlsongames. Maybe you'd like to give us a tip, maybe buy us a coffee. You can do that by going to our Ko-fi. That's ko-fi.com/girlsongames. Episode 500 of this here lovely podcast is just around the corner, and we want to celebrate with you. Join us for a special community event episode recording and become a game master for a round of Game On live on the show. Anyone who would like to take part must plan a podcast game to challenge the GOG crew. Each game can last up to 5 rounds. It could be a new game of your creation, or pick one of the many games we have played in the past, such as Walk Down Memory Card Lane, Two Lies and a Truth, Quotable and Notable. I had a hard time saying that. There's way more listed in the Discord channel, where you can also put your submissions. We have a special dedicated Game On 500 section in the Discord. If you want to contribute, but you don't want to be live on the show, no stress. We can organize a podcast friend or previous guest to run the game for you. Speaking of that, I reached out to some of our GOG friends and family, and they are very interested in being part of this. So this is going to be super exciting. Scheduling. Episode 500 is really not that far away. We are not having a pause in the podcast. I copied this text from the previous one. We actually picked the date last week. July 6th at 1 p.m. Eastern. That way it makes sense for everybody. We will get an invite out there very soon and put it in the Discord channel with a link so people can jump in. A note that Kyle, a.k.a. Darth Stridius, in our Discord channel is going to be helping us out with this. He's going to be organizing folks coming in and out of the Zoom room. And since Kat, Joelle, and I do not want to be spoiled on your game and want to play an honest-to-goodness round of Game On, he's going to help answer any questions you may have as well. If you've got, like, really particular things about the questions you're asking or whatever, you want to make sure it works and all that jazz, he's going to be there to help us out. So, Kyle, thank you so much for that. Any questions, comments, ideas, totally welcome. We look forward to playing, laughing, and celebrating with you. Now, the crew check-in, because it's been a week, because we had a console launch, and it has been an emotional roller coaster ride. But before we talk about mine and Joelle's adventure, Catherine, what'd you do this week? Because I don't think you got a Switch 2.
I did not. I sat down with a Excel spreadsheet and requested submissions for fixing my front balcony. It was very responsible. This is what my Switch money is going towards. I need house stuff.
You need to be able to walk out your front door and not die on the way down.
That's important.
Yeah. I mean, right now, all of it is superficial. You know, like, it's just stuff that we needed to get done like 2-3 summers ago, but then our original person who'd take care of it ghosted us, declared bankruptcy. You know how construction companies are. Anyway,
Yes.
if you're in Montreal and you know of somebody reliable to help fix up a front balcony, like paint it, deal with rust, find a new surface, like a fiberglass surface, shit like that. I don't need the whole thing ripped out. I just need the whole thing fixed up, painted, flashing, shit like that. If
You
have a
and your brother?
yes,
Both of you. Okay.
basically because it's like
They're attached.
they're attached, but the structure's fine. And I looked what we need done. There's no permit required from the city. So very simple job. If you have recommendations, hit me up in the Discord, honestly, because your girl is sat down with the Yellow Pages and the Googles and sent a few emails. But you know how it is. I think a lot of these companies are like, you're not ripping the whole thing out. We're not interested. I'm like, at the same time, it's an easy 5,000, like it, you know, like it's a day or two's work and you make a easy money. I don't know. I feel like it's a nice way to round up. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah.
That's
Speaking
what
of
I
Yellow
did.
Pages,
Yes.
the other day we were checking our mail and I saw a Yellow Pages book, which I swear to God I have not seen in years.
They still
wow.
exist.
Was
They
it current?
apparently still exist. Yeah, it came in the mail. So I'm
Well, but-
assuming it's current. How else would it get in my mailbox?
I don't know. Maybe they were like, "Oh, we have old inventory." They won't know, and it's from 2023. I don't know.
I mean, I could look. I don't know if I kept it. I think I might have just straight up recycled it because who uses the Yellow Pages anymore?
I don't know.
Oh my God. I was so surprised. I was shocked. I took it out. I'm like, this is a relic of days of yore.
How thick is it? How thick is it? Because back then, like
2 inches, maybe not even inch. No, yeah, maybe.
That's it.
Maybe it's just like GTA. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's big enough considering I live in this very, very large city. Unless it's just Toronto. Because you have to realize Toronto seems so big because of all the boroughs and whatnot and other communities and stuff that are around, like Mississauga and Etobicoke and the ones out in the east. I don't remember right now. Ajax and whatever, but they're not actually Toronto. So, yeah. The GTA, they call it. Greater
Yeah.
Toronto Area.
but even back then, like, the phone book was just for your local city, like a certain perimeter around you, and they were huge.
Oh, yeah.
They were like thick. It was like a feat of strength that strongmen would do to rip a phone book in half. It was something.
Yeah, they were ginormous. And like I said, who uses it now? Because if I need to call someone, I just look it up on the Googles.
Yes, but like,
Well, yeah.
if you're looking for a business, though, I've noticed that not all the companies were popping out on Google because Google is super biased, right? If you don't have like a thing on Google Maps or whatever, they won't show up. So some old school like companies or shit like that, or like individuals, will just use like, they'll be registered with the Yellow Pages and then they can link to like a Facebook page or stuff. So if you're looking for somebody, because like I look for Googles and I found like maybe 10 companies that mention like fixing balcony, not just installing new ones. And I was like, that feels low for Montreal, a city known for the outdoor like balconies and staircases, right? So I actually had to do like a separate search in Facebook and then one in the Yellow Pages and then one on Instagram. I was just like, all right, because they're all biased and closed off and they all like charge for these companies to pop out, right? So pro tip, don't just do Googles. And
Well, I'm wondering, the Yellow Pages
is
still
very
a little
useful.
bit of a walled garden too, isn't it? Like pay to get in kind of deal?
Some of it, yes.
Or at least advertise. There's some that have like advertisements in it that you probably pay for. They're a little bigger.
Yeah.
From what I remember, it's been a long time since I didn't actually like flip through this Yellow Pages.
I think like you still need to
For
like,
light reading,
yeah.
like curiosity.
While the can. Yeah.
When you're really stuck.
I forgot my phone. Oh, look, I set this right down here.
I think for Yellow Pages, a lot of how they make their money now is they sell services for people to make websites and
Probably.
like SEO and stuff like that. But I think just like going on, like the yellowpages.ca and putting like, let's say plumber, if you scroll enough through like the pages, if somebody has like, because you don't, I think you can just like make an account and make a listing, right?
Yeah.
If you keep going like through the listing, you'll keep finding plumbers.
Ugh.
So just, yeah. I think my next step would be to maybe look through like stuff like Nextdoor, which is the social media for like, but like that would be to find like, you know, like somebody who's like a handy person that does like a bunch of random shit. I'm not sure that's the person I need for the work I have right now, but it's just been such a, because I asked around me and nobody had recommendations, and I'm like, what? Usually I just kind of like pop in on Facebook, pop into like the work Discord, stuff like that. Hey, anybody got a recommendation? I usually have 2 names, easy peasy. When I needed our heat pumps cleaned, I had the list of 5 people and recommendations I could be. You clean this person's thing and they would give me a better price. This time for the balcony, they were like, you're shit out of luck. I'm like, what?
Oh, I'll ask Ian and Tina if they know anybody.
Yeah, I was going to reach out to Ian, to be honest.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's my trials and tribulation. I sent a few emails waiting on people to reply. Some people replied asking for more details, stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I know there's also, like, because this is Canada and Quebec, there's a strike going on in residential construction right now.
Is there? I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
On top of our transit strike. So I don't think
There's a transit strike?
Oh my
I
gosh.
really don't know what's going on in Montreal anymore.
Who isn't on strike?
I know the post office is on strike.
The post office. That's the thing. Like, who's not on strike?
Who's not on strike here?
Ironically,
I don't know. I saw
healthcare
QP
workers
walking down the road in the TTC.
Yeah. Ironically, the healthcare workers and the teachers are not on strike.
Oh,
'cause
the teachers.
They resolved their strikes last year.
Oh my God, it's crazy.
But yeah, so specifically right now in Montreal, it's the maintenance workers that are on strike.
Okay.
So we're recording this as Monday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, there's only rush hour service.
For
Metro and buses. For the island of Montreal.
Whoa.
So after 9 something and before 3, there's nothing. And then after 6 something, there's nothing all the way to like the end of the night. I think they do a last huzzah for night shifts. And that's
Wow.
it.
Wow.
And then after that, they restore service for Grand Prix weekend because, you know, like they're
Oh yeah, because the hoopla of last year.
yeah, they're not complete assholes, basically. And then after that, it's like they keep striking, and it's only full service during rush hour, and then it's half service during the rest of the day.
Oh my God, that's nuts.
It is.
In the middle of summer.
Yeah, but upside is it is summer, so biking is an option.
True.
So those are the trials and tribulation of me living in Montreal. A balcony,
Balcony and strikes.
whatever strike of the week that is affecting me. Still like it better here than in Ottawa. You can't convince me otherwise.
Well, Joelle, I had an emotional roller coaster ride of a weekend, trying or waiting very patiently for my Switch to get delivered. It showed up literally a half an hour before we sat down to record this podcast.
I don't know, excuse me, how you're still here.
Yeah.
What do you
That
mean?
you weren't like, peace out. I'm playing this. I will see you ladies later.
Because I'm a responsible podcaster, and I know, and it's, you know, the story is the story. It is what it is. It's downloading. It's not like I can play it right now anyway.
That's true.
I did hardwire the thing so that it'll download faster.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
needed Mario Kart World and Fantasy Life to get on there as soon as possible. The transfer process was pretty quick, I gotta say.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So what did you end up doing? Because a lot of people told me to go outside, touch grass, and try to buy one in real life and return the other one. What did you do?
Yeah, so initially I had a friend who pre-ordered, was trying to get all the pre-orders he could because, you know, who knows what would get canceled or blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So he ended up getting 3 pre-orders.
Whoa.
One from Nintendo, one from Walmart and one from Target. Okay. And I was like, all right, I'll call dibs on one of yours because I didn't get the pre-order. And I was like, I don't want to fight in line or wait in line forever. I'll just grab one of yours like when it arrives. And he was estimating that, they would ship and they would be there like Friday, maybe Saturday. And I'm like, that's fine. I can get it a few days late. So the one from Target, apparently, which I found kind of hilarious, was an Uber driver or like a Lyft driver was going to take the console from the store and deliver it to him. So it wasn't like through a larger shipping company like UPS or FedEx.
I've noticed that stores started doing that, eh?
Yeah. So
here, if you order from Canadian Tire, they'll if it's in a store near you, they'll ship it through DoorDash.
Yeah.
So random dude McCar shows up, grabs your whatever console. And you gotta hope that this dude who has like probably a car full of Switch 2s actually decides to deliver them.
Well, that's
I'm the Switch Santa Claus, people.
I was at happy hour with him and we were talking about this, and he said, yeah, like it's gonna be like DoorDash to my house. I'm like, is this person gonna actually deliver them to your house? Like
Imagine you get charged if he didn't, right?
Well, I guess, but it was just kind of funny. But yeah, he got it Thursday morning at like 9 a.m. He got his console from the Target DoorDash guy. So like he got his right away. And then I asked him, any update on the shipping, because the day before, like Wednesday, no update. And then Thursday there had been no update. Like no update on when to expect it, no update on any shipping from Nintendo or Walmart at all. And I was like, well, would you hate me? And I'm seeing everybody get them, and there's all this hype, and then I was experiencing, I don't know if people say FOMO anymore, but I was like, well, I'm like, okay, oh no, I really want it. And I thought, well, I got to go into the office, and I wonder if, like, I can just swing into a brick and mortar and, I'll just go to the tech section, see if there's one there. If it's there, I'll pick it up. If not, I'll just wait, But I thought, why not? Well, I have a few extra minutes. I'll just swing on in for the latest Nintendo console release. And lo and behold, mind you, I do want to say from Target, I have greatly decreased my purchasing from there, and wallet protest to their opposition for DEI. But they're also the closest thing to me that sells it, and I'm definitely not going to go to Walmart to buy it. So I did swing into Target, and they had a bunch of them locked up like in a little like roller crate in the tech area. Yeah, they had a lot, quite a few. And there was like signs that like, we still have it in stock. And I walked back there and I asked them if they had a bundle. They did not have a bundle. So I just got the non-bundle. They didn't really have many accessories left. They had no controllers. They had no like wheels for the Joy-Cons. They had a few cameras left. But that was it. So I grabbed the console. They gave me a cute little Switch 2 bag, and I put it in my work backpack, and I had it with me for the rest of the day until I got home.
Just sitting there, taunting you.
Yeah, I was so tempted to. I did take a peek at my cubicle. I did like open it up just to like look at it and kind of just see what it looked like, but I didn't turn it on or anything until I got home. And I had therapy, so I was like, this is my prize for going to therapy. So then, yeah, I got home, and man, was it slick. Like I was like, this just works. This is amazing. It was pretty seamless, pretty much. So I really couldn't have been happier with the whole experience. I can't believe I walked into a store and got one.
It's crazy, and so many people said that they did too, right? Like, so
yeah.
My chaos was that it was weird. I'm not gonna lie, guys. When I usually when I spend that kind of money on something, and when you pre-order it or something, I had an email from Best Buy that came like hours after I did the pre-order. And that was it. Had no notification, no nothing. I went inside my Best Buy app. There was nothing there noting that. And that's how I had done it, was through the Best Buy app. Because Kyle was like, go, they're in there. So that's how I bought it. And the way that I usually buy things like that, I did it through PayPal. And PayPal has done this to me before in the past, where it like doesn't transfer the address properly to the supplier.
Oh, no.
Because different people have different ways of writing the unit number. And so the unit number didn't transfer over, but I had no way to check this. And I always check it when I'm on there, because I've had the problem with PayPal before, that it didn't for some reason transfer over the unit number. So that's what happened. They went to deliver it, and they had the address, but didn't know which complex. And what sucks is I was inside the house. I could have went out there and waited, but then how would I have known it would have come at like 6:22 p.m. or whatever? Yeah. So anyways, at that point, and I had checked it like right after, and I was like, oh, God. And so I went through the service portal and updated my address, and they said it could be delivered in, it could take a few business days. I was like, holy shit. They don't deliver on the weekends. So on Thursday night, I went back to the sorting facility, got resorted, relabeled, and then as of 2 p.m. on Friday, it said it'd be delivered on Monday. So I had a dentist appointment today, but Mike was home, and then lo and behold, just like I anticipated, it didn't come until after 6 o'clock. And I got it. They called to make sure I was home to sign for it.
Well, thank God.
Which I was. I'm not going to lie. As soon as I finished work, I had both. Well, I had both my phone, my work phone, and my phone on with me, because we're working on some big projects right now. So I was trying to stay close to that. And I literally would sit on the patio, and every half hour would walk out to the street to see if I could see some perolator trucks coming up the street.
You're out there with binoculars, like, hey,
like, where are you?
Where are you?
Come on, trucks. But I have it now, and
yay!
And now I'm really excited to play it. So after we're done podcast, I'm gonna go turn on Mario Kart World and zip around with Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's fun. It's pretty fun.
We're lucky, though, Joelle. Both of our use cases, we didn't have staples through the front of our screens.
Oh, my God.
Oh,
you
my gosh. I would have been totally, like... I was really upset. I was kind of, like, low-key really bummed that I didn't pre-order. And then this whole thing, I was like, Nintendo did it right by trying to, like, really, stick it to scalpers as much as they could with how they did their pre-orders, how they had stuff in store, they had stuff in stock. And I thought, man, if I got a Switch and it had those things in the screen, I would be so pissed.
Then it's a return at this point.
Yeah.
Catherine gets violent.
Yeah, but you'd have to have a warranty then, wouldn't you?
Well, you bought it from the store. It's obviously the store's fault. They did a whole bunch of it. So there's no way that the store wouldn't switch them out.
I was offered a warranty with mine.
Of course, if you broke it, but it's legitimately the store's fault. They're the ones that stapled the receipt. The EB Games.
Oh, they damaged stock.
Yeah, so it was the EB Games somewhere in Long Island or something like that. Stapling receipts for people onto the Switches, probably ones that had done pre-orders.
Yeah.
And in doing that, because the way that the Switch was packaged,
it's
was
right there.
Screen up, controllers kind of on an angle, and it hit right through the screen, because the box is not the most
it's
thick
very minimal.
cardboard. It's actually really minimal. It's probably intentional. Like, I got mine, it came in another box, right? A box in a box. And the corner of the packaging was definitely like beat in a little bit, because mine went on an adventure. I'm not surprised that a staple made it through that thing. But yeah, I would have been really disappointed too if that had come. But guaranteed they're going to have to replace them all, because that would... Well, they did it.
It's the store that damaged the stock, so it's the store that has to eat that. They have to return it and eat that cost with Nintendo.
That would suck, though. Mm-hmm. That would suck.
That would suck. Hardcore.
All right. We want to get into everybody who's playing, but first, we're going to take a wee little break looking at the Fantasy Critic because obviously we had some games release on the podcast league. Just opening it up so I can read the rankings because I forgot to write those down. So 3 games came out this week. Lies of P Overture, which was on Joelle's list, has a critic of 83, points 13.
Ooh.
Mario Kart World, which I conveniently dropped as my counter pick using the super drop. It was on Joel's list. Critic 89, points 19. And then Deltarune came out, which was on the 4th. Though was announced as a Switch release, but then actually ended up coming out on the 4th because of the way time zones work. On Kat's list, Kat, there's nothing there yet because it needs an open critic link. So I don't know what'll happen. It'll sit there for a bit until more reviews come in, but then if nothing happens, then it's just like a free drop for you.
I guess
that's what we decided for the rules.
Hopefully, I don't know. Can we submit a link, or is it because Metacritic doesn't have a link?
I don't know. I'm not exactly sure how it works. Maybe no one reviewed it yet.
When I hover over the little broken link icon, it says, "This game is released but is not linked to an open critic page. If one exists, you can, quote, suggest a correction, unquote, and we'll get it fixed."
Okay.
So
I imagine it will at some point, because,
Yeah.
Deltarune's a pretty popular game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there were no bids this week and no drops. The ranks, I talked about my super drop last week. The ranks, I'm in first, Kat's in second, Joelle's in third. I have 5 games left to release. Kat has 3 games. Joelle has 9 games left to release. And then we all got a bunch of... Actually, Joelle, you only have 1 game and 1 counter pick left.
Yep.
I've got a few left to pick up, and Kat's got a few left to pick up. All right. Over to the Community League. Splitgate 2. Similar situation. It's on Simon's list. It needs more reviews. It was counterpicked by Stainsby Kingsby. Lies of P Overture was on Simon's list. Critic 83, points 13. Mario Kart World was also on Simon's list. Critic 89, points 19. And then Deltarune, Nothing Yet, Needs a Link, was on Al Bang's list. And it was counterpicked by Pat. So I'm sure Pat is hoping it's not going to get anything. There was a wee bit of movement. I actually foresee them being more movement this week when we come back next Monday when we record. Lumines Arise, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, was won by Ross for $19.
Ooh.
It was a hot commodity. Pat wanted it too for $14. He was outbid, and also Darth Stridius for $12. All of them were outbid. Final Fantasy Tactics, how do you say that? Ivalice Chronicles?
Yeah, pretty sure.
It looks weird to say. Seeing an I next to a V always trips me up. Ross got that one. Bid of 19. Oh, hold up. The reason he couldn't get it is because the remaster tag has been banned in our group. We may have to have a discussion on that because there's only so many games that we have available to us in that league. So, Kyle, you and I got to chat, and we'll see about that. I thought remasters were there because, that's like a legit big remaster too, right?
But,
Or is it a remake versus remaster? This one says remaster tag.
I think it's remake.
Yeah, I think the remakes are allowed.
And the remasters are not.
So Final Fantasy VII, yes.
Yes.
This is just a remaster. It's a port up to the current consoles.
I think the ports one's weird.
That might be it. Yeah. All right, no drops this week. Rankings. Pat's in first. Then it's Margot, Albang, Jessica, me, Simon, Kat, Adam, a.k.a. Stainsby Kingsby, Ross, Phoenix, Snakefred, NJK, Darth Stridius, a.k.a. Kyle, and Joelle. Joelle, you still not have a single goddamn game that is released in this Fantasy Critic.
Nope, not yet.
You're holding out for a hero, aren't you?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm doing that totally on purpose, but that's the hand I'm being dealt, so I'm rolling. Yeah.
I'm just looking to see here now. Where is your Yeah, you got the same thing. Yeah. Oh my God, Marathon may never come out. Yeah, they're having a lot of troubles now with the art stuff. Did you see that crazy story?
Oh my God. I was just like, when you benchmark too close to the sun, and it's just they threw the artist, the art department under the bus. It's just like, you need to have better checks and balances, people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I have a lot that aren't coming out, and I'm just like, oh no.
Hope that everybody fills their lists first, and then you can drop a bunch of shit and just bid on stuff. Because when you bid on the game,
$1, Bob.
Yeah, it's kind of.
You can say like, oh, conditional drop, right? If I win this bid, drop.
Yeah.
Mm. All right. Let's get into what everybody's been playing. Catherine, you're in the post Dragon Age haze, and now you're into more RPGs, playing Expedition 33.
Yes, I loaded it. It's a bit of a juggle because Pascal is not done playing it. So it's syncing to my account through the cloud. So we're playing a tag, and also he's playing in French.
Oh,
and
that's
then
cool.
I saw Gustave is voiced by Charlie Cox of Daredevil fame. I was introduced to him with the movie Stardust, so where he was the hunky prince. So when I saw that, I was like, I'm playing in English. I don't give a shit.
Good choice.
This is 100. This choice was made by 15-year-old Catherine, and I stand by it. So every time I launch the game, if he's played it, the console has to sync the cloud, and I'm just sync the cloud. And they're like, do you want to keep what's on the console or cloud? And I'm like, no. Sync the, because he's like 30 some hours in, so like he doesn't. I don't want to erase his save.
No.
And then I have to like go into continue and make sure I continue my game. Because like we tried, like on the Xbox, it's okay. Like as long as I'm logged in, if he's on his profile, he plays the game, the Game Pass games on his profiles. There's no such thing on PC, and he wants to play on PC, so he has to play like on my profile. So a lot of people showed up at work because we're friends on Discord or stuff like that, or we're friends on Xbox, like let's say. They're just like, I saw you were playing Cloud Obscure. I'm like, I'm not yet.
That wasn't me.
Yeah, so we're juggling that. I think he's in Act 3, so I think he'll finish it pretty soon. I don't think it's that long of a game. Is it?
Okay. Act 3 is it's a long haul to the end. Let me just say, like,
how long did it take you to finish the entire game?
I think it took me about 35 hours on easy, and I didn't do like a ton of. I think it took me maybe a little bit. I'm not a big like turn-based strategist player, so it probably took me maybe a little bit longer to like get the groove of some stuff. And then I had to go and kind of grind for a little bit because I was severely underleveled when I got to the end, based on internet. But the end game is quite long.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I know you mentioned that last podcast. But he's 30 some hours in, so.
Okay.
And I don't know on which difficulty he's playing. He plays shit like Monster Hunter and like Elden Ring and stuff, so maybe he's playing on harder and he can actually parry.
Yeah.
I'm playing on easy. I'm thinking of activating more accessibility shit because I love this game. I love this story. I love the turn base. The dodge and parry are grinding my gears.
Oh, yeah.
The dodge is the best, and just get Picross that give you action points after you do a good dodge. That'll save your ass.
Yep.
I think that's what I'm going to look into because
there is nothing else there, Kat. There's nothing in the accessibility that helps you for the dodge and parry.
Yeah.
They legitimately said, this is the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. But I was thinking of like at least like activating the the auto QTEs and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, you can do that.
It's not that I'm not good at dodge and parry, because like once you meet an enemy and you get to learn their tells, like, you know, when you're in the first area, I got used to them when we got to the area with the Gestalt, not the Gestalt,
They're like kind of like underwater looking like area.
No, the little paintbrushes. They're not called Gestalt. They're called the name.
Those creature things.
Yeah.
With the paintbrush heads.
Something
with a G though.
But it's a base. It's word. The base is on gestuelle, because gestuelle means like gesticulating, and that's like when you
gesture.
When you do art, it's gesture. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have the word gestalt stuck in my head, which is also hard terms.
Yeah.
But anyway, when I got to this section, you know, like with their sac à patate, which by the way is literally a sack of potatoes.
Yeah,
that's what it translates to.
That's cute.
Yeah. So they, you know, you learn the movements, and then, you know, by like the second fight, I'm parrying. Like once I get a few perfect dodges, I'm like, all right, I can parry this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you can parry, I'm noticing it's a very completely different game. You are steamrolling because you can counter.
Yep.
Yeah, the counters are big.
Yeah.
Like one is to get the action point. The thing is, if you do it properly and you get it through the full thing, you can whack those monsters back.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're called gestrals.
Gestrals. Thank you.
You are so close.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, so that's where I'm struggling a bit. I think it's not a game for mindless gaming. You really have to be involved. I find like, you know, when I played turn-based before, stuff like Persona or the strategy stuff, like, you know, like God, I'm losing my words today.
Final Fantasy.
Yeah,
old Final Fantasy,
like Final Fantasy Tactics and the Three Kingdoms thing. I forget
Fire
the name
Emblem?
of the. Yes, thank you. Fire Emblem, stuff like that. Like you can get, once you get into a groove, you can kind of go mindless and just kind of power through stuff, right? This you have to like really think about it. So I don't know how fast I will go through this game. Because it is you definitely have to be alert, and it's very much a reaction game.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that after, like, now I'm just like 4 hours in. I'm hoping that after like at least act 1 or whatever, that I can get into it and really get the stuff down. Right now, another barrier I have is the different characters. I'm not
yeah, and how they all kind of have different mechanics.
Yes. I'm not sure I'm going to move away from the original trio. I'm going to be honest, like, I might just invest in the base 3.
Mael is super powerful, so you're fine with doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's basically because you start the game, they're like, hey, you got, like, big hitting dude. You got the mage that can heal.
Yep.
And then you got like a swift little lady that can pump out a lot of damage if you combo right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm like, cool, I'll get into that. And now I just picked up Ciel, and they're like, yeah, so you got this, like, she's got tarot cards, right? And I'm like, cool. There's like, sometimes you're in sun, sometimes you're in moon. You can foretell, and then you can consume this. And I was like, you lost me again. I'm too old for games.
No, there is lots of time also in the game, like, for you to try something out. So I think I felt a little rushed to be like, I have to master all these things because this game isn't very long. So that's where I was like, oh, I really shouldn't, like, dive too deep into other stuff. But you have to go through so many enemies in so many areas. So, like, I guess if you feel like you got the trio down, maybe you feel like, okay, I feel really confident. Maybe I want to kind of try to dip my toe into something else. There's lots of time in the game for you to do that. So there's options.
Yeah.
Worst comes to worst, watch a video tutorial on YouTube, because that's what I did. Because sometimes when I read through those instructions, it's like Greek, and I'm like, I don't understand what this means until someone like talks me through it, and I'm like, okay, I get it now.
Yeah, I'm gonna look up a build on Lune.
Yeah.
Because then I didn't understand the stains when I started picking shit up. And I suddenly decided to invest in earth but not lightning, and now I'm realizing that's a fucking mistake.
Well, it depends on what area you're in too, right? In the water area, lightning makes a lot of sense, but when you go to another area,
no, but you always need to have like an arsenal of skills that will generate the right stains. Because earth skills will make more damage if you consume a lightning stain, and it's the same.
But it also has to do with the enemies.
Yes,
the enemies have weaknesses and strengths and whatever else, right?
Exactly.
So you can't just lean into earth, because at some point you're going to come up with something that'll like no good to earth.
But it's always like the 4 elements. The way they're set is like they're almost like in couples with each other. Right?
To a certain extent, yeah.
You need lightning if you're going to use earth. You need to use lightning to generate lightning stains so that you can consume them when you do earth stuff. And it's the same with fire and ice. You just kind of like gotta keep going between those two. So that's why I'm like, okay, I think I fucked up.
No, I also think too, like the game, because I didn't pay that much attention to those duos, and I was on easy, and I got through the game, like I kind of hobbled along on a few things, and I think I just allowed myself to be like, I'm not going to understand on my first playthrough, like, the depth of all of this. And so I think that if you maybe can, like, let go the expectation of you have to have a mastery of everyone's build, because I feel like they're very intricate and complicated. Like, I think this game is meant to, like, the first playthrough is meant to be a bit of a warm-up. Because when I got to the end, I'm like, I want to play this game right away, because now I know what I'm doing. Yeah. And so now I'm looking forward. I probably will do another playthrough of it, but I wanted to put it down so I didn't get burnt out on it. And I think now that I go through the second playthrough, I have the story, so I don't need to try to figure out what's going on anymore. And I can really hone in on builds and max damage and that kind of stuff. So I don't know, maybe just kind of let go of like the need to master. Because it's also layered, because they all like every character you can really drill down and have all these layers to them, which I think is really cool. But I wouldn't maybe like burden myself with the need to. I have to figure it all out right at this second in the game.
How I got through a lot of like my Dragon Age playthroughs, considering I was playing Origins for the second time because I got hit a wall because my build wasn't great. By just looking up builds. I might do the same for this just to have a plan. Because I'm finding myself, and I think this is a me problem, but like every time I find an expedition flag and I open to save and they're like, hey, you got points, you got skill points, and you have points for attributes. Now, every time I'm just like audibly sighing like, this game is asking me to make a lot of decisions about shit I don't really understand, that I don't know how it's going to affect me, and I'm just afraid that I'm going to get to the end of the game and be stuck with a less than efficient build. At the same time, you can respec if you have items, and that you can buy these items sometimes, so I think it's not that deep. But maybe it's just a me problem thinking, like, you're asking me, like, you're front loading me with a lot of information, and then like 5 minutes after like learning about these things, they're like, all right, here's skill points, pick like 2 new spells for Lune.
Yeah,
just like
it's not. So on the first playthrough, I was on easy. I went on the internet and I was like, what level do I need to be at to beat the game, like to beat the boss? I was no joke, just shy of 30 levels below, and I still beat the game. So I'm just letting you know that, like, because I kind of felt that too. Because I kind of got to the end and I'm like, like, am I locked? Like, just how I felt like when I played the first Dragon Age. I was like, oh no, like I can't do anything. But no, like I had to do the fight a few times to learn what was happening, but I got through it. So I guess that's all to say too for people that feel like maybe they're behind or they don't know enough, or I think if you throw the game on easy and learn the cues of the enemies, you will be able to finish the game under-leveled with, kind of limping along on one build of an element that works. And because they don't lock you at the end against, like, one particular thing. Like, if that's, like, a little, like, spoiler, like, inside thing. So I would say your first time through, if you want to intake the story, intake the art, intake, the complications and grand scaling of the mechanics of fighting, and I just... find what you're comfortable with and just ride through it, and I think you'll be okay. Look stuff up online, like you will be able to finish the game.
Yeah, because it's like everything else is perfect. Like the music, holy shit! Like the characters, the story. It's like it's so great, and I love how they're really deep diving into like these old school like JRPGs and whatever. But I'm also reminded why I fell off these JRPGs. Yeah. Why I fell off Yakuza. Like, it's just so much information to think about constantly, and that's why I love like Dragon Age Veilguard, where it's like, here's your class, worry about your class, and then worry about like, companions. They have like a few skills, and just worry about like combos with a few companions, and but it's mostly about you. This is like, you gotta learn like every character and whatever. And I'm realizing that the more, because I've been really, really into like building up very nitty gritty knowledge about For Honor, and I think it's eating at my patience with my gaming in my free time, where I think I cannot. I'm like, it's got a deep layered combat system where it's like, like easy to learn but hard to master, and I'm just like, that sounds like my fucking day job. I'm
well, I mean, it's why I restarted, because I got so far into the game. I got to the water area, and then I got this one boss and I didn't know, and I was like looking at it, I was like, I am not there. And then I realized I missed a whole bunch of stuff, and I was like, you know what, I think I'd rather restart. I can kind of speed through all the story elements, do everything properly, and then set myself up, because I know what I'm doing now. That's why I often get anxiety at starting new games, is because I'm just there and I'm like, am I really in the mood to sit down here right now and learn?
Yeah.
That's what makes it hard.
Yeah, I think once I get into the groove, it'll be good. I did like Google, like when I struggled with certain bosses, I was just like going onto the forum. I'm like, all right, what's this boss's shtick? Yeah. What's the timing am I looking for? Things like that. I still haven't nailed down the timing for jumping. I see the icon and I press A, and I miss it like every 75% of the time. And I'm just like, I'm better at parrying than jumping, and I don't know why.
Well, I just find that like my fingers are not there. I always keep my hand in a position when playing that game that like, I'm like, oh yeah, I need to hit the bottom button, and forget about it all the time. And then have to like, because my hands just, I don't naturally keep it there, because it's so rare that you actually need to hit jump. It's not like other games where it's like, I'm playing Fantasy Life now, and it's like my hand is always there, right? It's just the way that the controls work. So, maybe jump shouldn't have been on that button. But then it is when you're like running around and stuff. So, yeah.
I think it makes sense, because like during combat, your hand should be off that joystick and towards your action button, right?
Yes, so but mine's kind of up higher.
Oh, okay. You're more
because I'm hitting the other buttons, and then to do that, I have to move my thumb down, and my thumb doesn't naturally like to move in that direction, because of the nature of me using more of the top three buttons than the bottom button.
Well, probably something you can remap.
Yeah, maybe.
They should have button remapping.
I should look into that.
I can't remember. A part of me wants to think they did, but I remember also looking at the settings and thinking it was very slim for accessibility and changes, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and I haven't heard from Steve what he thought of it yet.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you're started. Joelle is complete.
Yay! I completed, and just to kind of tie it all off, I didn't think they would land the plane. I was really skeptical because I didn't get much out of the plot as I was wanting as I played through, and I felt a little in the dark. And I'm like, I just feel like this is a more high art type of story, and I'm really not going to be very satisfied with the ending. And I was wrong. 100%. So they definitely like close out all of the plot points that you need in order to finish up the game. So if you're kind of struggling through and you're like, is this going to be worth it? It will indeed be worth it at the very end. It all kind of comes kind of domino effect, and everything kind of falls at the very end. So it's one of those kind of stories where it's like stacking and you're not understanding and you're trying to figure it all out, and then it really wraps up like in the last like 30 minutes. So
Okay.
So just kind of keep at it, and you will be. I think you'll find that you'll be satisfied that you finished the game. And I was pretty happy that I finished it, because then I got my Switch and I started playing. And then I started playing. I started playing Mario Kart. But before I get into Mario Kart, I did download Breath of the Wild. And I did play the first section of Breath of the Wild, till we get to the Vista and a little bit of the plains in the first, where you're in the tutorial essentially, and like the Great Plateau, and it is wonderful. It is so good. So if you're a big fan of the game, and if you think it's worth like the $10 to pay to upgrade, I guess in my mind I would say that it is. You don't have to do it right away if you don't want to, but I can't wait to like replay this game, like with the updated graphics and the smoothness, and it looks so great. And it's just, I feel like it's what it should have done in the first place, but it's like a remastered. Like, really, I'm excited. So that was fun. And then, of course, I did buy Mario Kart World because I didn't get the bundle. So I did buy that and got it downloaded, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm not a huge like Mario Kart, aficionado. I'm okay at it, but it is really fun. Some of the new mechanics that they have with like the rail riding and the boosts, and there's a few other pieces too that I don't know if I really want to like talk about to spoil for some folks, but it's fun. The new characters are fun. The new mechanics are fun. It's just overall a really good time. I think they did a really good job. Almost kind of like saying this is going to be a new era of Mario Kart, trying to really get away from 8 and saying like, okay, we're going to start over with some things. There's a lot of things that they don't have, I will say, and hopefully they will build upon like this new era that they're doing. So I think that some people might have been disappointed to see a lack of like certain characters or of certain functionalities or features, but I think this is a little bit of like a reset for them, and just kind of like going with the flow. And it is like sometimes this game is rude. Like it is tough. Like I feel like it's kind of harkening also back to like the older days, like when you could be in first 1 second and then you get hit and then you're in 9th, and it's like, here's a dose of how the world works.
Yeah, I was listening a lot to how they had to, in thinking about now playing with 24 characters and thinking about how the open world kind of works and thinking about all that, they had to really, change how items work and things like that. So I'm really curious about that. I'm looking forward to diving into that later today. And then maybe we can chat more on it next week, Joelle, because I'll have some time with it then, and we can kind of have that counter back and forth. Yeah. Because I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I haven't done too much of the open world yet. I think I was just trying to get the racing stuff done, and I did a little bit of it, and it felt a little weird. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, sure.
I was like, this feels wrong, like, because my first Mario Kart was the SNES, was the very, So I'm like, I can go anywhere. So I think I'm still a little like I wanted to do some of the racing and get a little better at the racing, but I do plan on doing more open world like this week. So
cool. Yeah, since I didn't have a Switch too, I just continued my way down fantasy life. I think I'm near the end of the story at this point. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like working my way through almost every single life. I think what most people do is they pick like one of the fighter ones, and then they do some of the other things, and they just kind of do everybody's saying power through, because after the story is over, that's when the real game gets like really good. And I'm like, oh damn, but like I'm just having so much fun with it. Like I definitely must be near the end too, because I know who the big baddie is now. I know about the girl who steals time, and I have a legendary weapon that I have to make and items and stuff. So I'm on a quest to get all those things. So yeah, it's still awesome. I cannot wait to see what it looks like on the Switch 2. I am going to download the $2 and something upgrade thing or whatever it is, because it's like real cheap. It's only a few dollars, so we'll see how that goes. More next week. Mm-hmm. Okay, this is a video game podcast, so let's play a podcast game about video games. Joelle, you're bringing back higher or lower?
I am. So this is a game that you ladies seem to enjoy before. So we're going to do another round of higher or lower. And I have 3 different categories. So we're going to start with game sales. And I tried to not repeat games from last time. I have notes.
Okay.
So these should be new games. All right. So we're looking at overall game sales. Mm-hmm. This could be, I think, physical or digital.
Okay.
So which one had the highest game sales? Assassin's Creed 3 or Star Wars Battlefront?
Assassin's Creed 3.
I'm going Battlefront.
Battlefront had the most sales with 14 million, with Assassin's Creed 3 coming in at 12 million. So close.
I remember that Star Wars game getting like a bad rep. I didn't realize it didn't stop them from selling.
But it's Star Wars, so there was more people who bought it and more people to yell.
So true. All right, so we're going to go, next one is Monster Hunter World Iceborne.
Okay.
Or Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Oh. Is that a DLC?
No, Miles Morales was a
the other one.
Oh, Iceborne? Ooh. That's a good question.
We're
Googling. Yeah, it's the massive expansion DLC for Monster Hunter World. So, massive expansion.
I kind of want to say Spider-Man, but I think I'm going to get disappointed. Let's say Spider-Man Miles Morales.
I'm also thinking Spider-Man.
Spider-Man Miles Morales had a sales of 14.4 million.
Okay.
While Iceborne had sales of 14.9.
Damn, so
close.
Oh, so close. 500, was it 500,000? No.
14.4 million. Oh, yeah. So 14.4 versus 14.9. So
Dang.
Iceborne. But like that's an expansion like DLC for Monster Hunter, and
that's
that
crazy.
Outsold Miles Morales.
I would imagine that was on many platforms, while Miles Morales was only on PS5.
Correct.
Yeah. But I mean, jeez, that's pretty
still
good.
low. All right, next one.
Yeah.
Is Hogwarts Legacy.
Okay.
Versus Starfield.
Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah, I'd say Hogwarts.
Starfield came in at 12 million.
Okay.
While Hogwarts Legacy came in at 24 million.
Oh, yeah.
Double.
The power of that franchise.
Yeah.
Love it and hate it all at the same time.
That's right. All right. Next one. Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Okay.
Versus Super Mario Brothers Wonder.
Oh. Tears of the Kingdom.
Tears of the Kingdom.
You are correct. Tears of the Kingdom sold 20 million copies,
Wow.
while Wonder sold 13 million.
Not the greatest turnout for a Nintendo game.
Oh.
A Mario game at that.
No, I was kind of surprised, too, that it was... that Tears of the Kingdom went over, so...
Yeah.
All right. Now we're going to go to a section called Indie versus AAA.
Ooh.
All right. So first up, we have Hollow Knight versus Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Hollow Knight.
Hollow Knight.
Hollow Knight sold 4 million copies. Assassin's Creed Valhalla sold 20 million copies.
Really?
Oh, when you said that 4 million, I was like, I know Valhalla did not say that.
Yeah. I thought like people bought that like 100,000 times
Hollow
for
Knight,
their
yeah.
own. Yeah.
And it's also like on
diehards,
every
man.
platform and
Yeah.
their kitchen sink.
Yeah.
Playing on my refrigerator.
Played on my PDF. Hades
Okay.
versus Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh, Cyberpunk.
Hades.
Ooh. Cyberpunk 2077 came in at 25 plus million copies.
Oh shit, I'm fucked.
Wow.
Love you, Hades, but I'm screwed.
Well, Hades came in at not a shameful 3 million.
Okay.
I mean, it was just its debut, you know. That's not bad.
Can't wait to play the second one. I played a little bit of it when I was at that Nintendo Switch 2 event. Oh,
Yeah.
Can't wait to play more of that. I played so many games of that thing that I can't wait to get my hands on.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
All
a
right.
busy half the year.
All right, last one in this category. Stardew Valley versus Final Fantasy 16.
Stardew Valley.
Valley.
Final Fantasy 16 comes in at 5 million copies, where Stardew Valley is 30 million copies.
Yeah.
Blows it out of the water.
Come on, Concerned 8. We want to see Haunted Chocolatier.
Oh, yeah. The peoples wants it.
We do. We're waiting patiently, though. Take your time.
Okay, this last category is a exclusive release
Okay.
versus a platform release. It's
Okay.
like multi-platform, right?
Okie dokie.
Exclusive versus a multi-platform. All right. So we're going to start with Astral Chain, which was a Switch exclusive,
Yep.
versus Nier Automata.
Oh, Nier Automata.
Near Automata.
All right. Nier Automata came in at 7 million copies, while Astral Chain did a 1 million copies. So you are correct.
Nier was also like a cult favorite or a cult
Yeah.
classic, so it was easy.
True.
Yeah.
All right, let's do... All right, this next one is going to be Control
Uh-huh.
versus Gravity Rush 2.
Control.
Oh, Control.
So Gravity Rush 2 came in at 1 million copies, while Control came in at 3 million and was the multi-platform. So yeah,
Gravity
Control.
Rush is such a good series. It's almost too bad that it doesn't get the love it deserves.
Yeah, it was the first one was on the Vita, right?
Yeah, I played the frickin' shit out of it. Such a good game.
You can play the
Magical
second one
girl
on
games.
PlayStation.
We need more magical girl games.
Yeah,
Just
I
putting it
agree.
out there. I was talking about that during the press conferences, which we will get into in a bit. But yeah, more magical girl games, please.
Yep.
Less dark fantasy, horror. God damn, I felt like that's all some of the conferences were. Anyways, side note, talk about that later.
Last one.
Okay.
All right, so we have Sunset Overdrive, which is an
Ooh.
Xbox,
Bet it is.
versus Dying Light. Multi-platform.
Sunset
I'm
Overdrive.
gonna say Dying Light.
Sunset Overdrive came in at 1.2 million, while Dying Light came in at a whopping 20 million copies.
Oh.
That one might have been a bit of a sandbag category, but I thought, well,
Yeah.
we'll try it out. So that's all.
1
That's all I got
million?
for
1 million? That's
Sunset
all that
Overdrive.
Sunset Overdrive did?
yeah Xbox
I mean, they went on to do
exclusive.
Superman, Spider-Man, so. Go to
Yeah. Unless my internet is incorrect.
No, I think you're right.
No.
Yeah, that's crazy. And sometimes it's always hard doing some of those now too because they don't really announce some of the money made and sales and all that kind of stuff. So it's getting harder and harder because of the closed nature of the stores, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, and some of these too, when I was looking this up, I wanted to do more current games, but then like so many of them are released like on, PlayStation Plus or, Game Pass. And so then I think it's more maybe like players. We might have to go more for players and downloads than sales. I guess sales is maybe not totally antiquated, but definitely like you want downloads and players
Exactly.
and time spent in game.
Yeah. What you want is unique acquisitions.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Or monthly or daily active users.
That only kind of works for like live games. I think like it would be like sales or installs or downloads.
Or you can look at it at other things like peak concurrence, people streaming it on Twitch.
Yeah.
You can really mess around with it, Joelle. You got many options of how you can evaluate it. Ladies, we need to talk about all the announcements that happened over the past week because there was a slew of press conferences all tied around, I guess, what we call Summer Game Fest now. Let's get into it right after this break. It's that time of the year, one of the most exciting times for us video gamers. Why, you ask? It's the honorary summer months when we do the press conferences that are all tied around Summer Game Fest, which used to be the time that was E3. We had a slew of different conferences over the course of the past week, including the PlayStation State of Play, Summer Game Fest Live, Xbox Showcase, the Wholesome Direct, PC Gaming Show, and many, many more. Used to be many moons ago that this was actually tied around, like I had mentioned, the entertainment, what is it called? Entertainment Expo? Electronic Entertainment Expo. Yep. Which was a sometimes public, sometimes not media only event where people could go and test out all these games because it was like a big conference. There were press conferences, some that were directly affiliated, some that were not. It was essentially Gamer Christmas because it was the time of the year where we would find out most of what was coming down in the fall lineup and to look for the years ahead. Now, it is that, asterisk, but I do find that things are spread out a little more. I do have my feelings about this past week, and especially considering now that Kat and I have been doing this for 13 years, that it's changed. The vibes are different. So let's kick this off by me asking you, ladies, how did you feel during this Summer Games Fest and all of the press conferences?
I felt underwhelmed. I'm going to be honest. In terms of like WoW announcements, when you compare to like previous years where they announce like bangers, like, or things that, some people would say Avowed was not a banger. I don't know. When it announced, it made a lot of waves. Like, like you have, Claire Obscure that like intrigued us all, plus coming to Game Pass, stuff like that. This year, it started with the shadow drop of the Oblivion remaster.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's probably downhill from there, unless you are a horror fan with Silent Hill and Resident Evil. But like in terms, that's what I felt. And then after that, it was just like everybody announcing their dark fantasy game or their dystopian sci-fi shooter. VR might be included. I was like, cool story, bro. Yep.
Joelle, how about you?
I would say that, like, going into the weekend, I'm just like, okay, like, it's the weekend, right? Like, I was saying to my friends, like, these are all the gaming stuff that's happening, big gaming weekend. I'm going to be locked in and focused on the announcements. And then I got my Switch too, and I kind of forgot. I was like, oh yeah, that's happening, and I should pay attention. And as I was getting, notifications from our Discord about games, and my notifications around YouTube videos and stuff like that, I was like, oh yeah, that's what's coming. Okay. And then I think just like I didn't have that like big hook of a game that would like really anchor it for me that I would want to play personally. I think that I was like pumped to see that there was going to be a new Resident Evil. Like, I thought that was cool. I don't know. Like, other than that and a little bit of the state of play from PlayStation, I think that the big titles that I was excited for, I know of, I guess, right now. So I think I felt a little like, great, I'm going to keep trying to figure out how to race better in Mario Kart World. Like, that, I think, really sucked my time away from the announcements.
Yeah. I don't know if it's because, obviously, Kat and I were away, so something to look forward to there, when usually we'd be looking forward to like that kind of season of like the idea of like, oh, what we're going to play for the rest of the year, what we're going to talk about, what's coming up. Definitely, I think it was strategic in Nintendo dropping its console, because yes, that was a lot of the noise that was happening. Mm-hmm. But I also think that we are definitely awarded a lot more opportunities now to have those key moments throughout the course of the year, that the very key time that was E3, when almost everybody came together, it didn't resonate the same. Or the idea that these things were happening, I wasn't as jazzed or excited about, ooh, what could they announce? I was just going to be like, ooh, there'll be things, right? Of course, right? Mm-hmm. But because people are so, it's in the nature now of anybody could do a press conference at any time. When you think about it, it could be anything. There was no Ubisoft press conference. There was no, well, I guess what we used to be the Bethesda press conference. The Square Enix used to do its own thing. Nintendo was not there. Now, mind you, they've been doing their own thing for a long time, but there was just something about it that if I hadn't remembered and put down the times in my calendar that we had to see these press conferences, well, like the fact that I didn't see the PlayStation one, it didn't faze me too much. And that's because it's when I'm traveling during work, right? Mm-hmm. And I think, Kat, what you had said earlier, and I think it was even before we started the podcast, the fact that the Oblivion remaster was announced so early, that was such a big bang, and then it's almost like it petered out. And it's not to say that maybe that's just because the games didn't speak to us, right? You're right. I felt like the Summer Games Fest Live was just dark fantasy after horror after dark fantasy after horror, and I was like, where's the games for me? And then, and it's not to say that there aren't, because there were a few that I did end up like really pinpointing. And even the Wholesome Direct too, it's almost like you're bombarded by so many games that you don't, you're done with it. And I was actively taking notes because I had to go back and relook at things afterwards. So I'm almost wondering now, is it that and maybe we can say we, have become a little apathetic to press conferences now, that they don't get the hype because we're used to them and there's an overabundance of them? Or is it just that this year nothing really spoke to us as in what we like to play? Because there was tons of people that were hyped after that.
I feel like they're less curated. I feel like a spot on Summer Game Fest show is like a Super Bowl ad. It's something that you purchase. So I think there's not a lot of curation happening outside of, like, let's say PlayStation and Xbox. But even then, like, I'm pretty sure you can pay to be part of their show if your game is on their platform, or there's like deals that can be signed, like if Xbox is publishing your game, for them to give you that extra visibility, right? If you're a partner or you're a platform for stuff like that. So I think there's a lot of it that plays into that. Summer Games Fest is definitely like a lot of it is just like pay for you to be there if you're not Hideo Kojima. Yeah, I think the curation is down. I think the noise is up, which is causing studios to do like they were starting to bypass E3. Now they're going to bypass Summer Games Fest, because if you look at these big announcements, these big reveals, like Marathon, like Oblivion, they were done a couple of weeks before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even Hitman, IOI Interactive, teased their James Bond game.
Yep.
Before, because they knew that it was going to get lost. So I think right now it is a mix of, like, subjectively there's less shit that interested us, but objectively there's so much more shit that it's like, how do you find what you want?
Yeah, carving out your own time and space to make your own noise is very hard. And Marathon, though, God only knows if we'll ever see that again, and Hitman and Oblivion definitely did that in a smart way, because they got out in front of the noise. And I think that Nintendo Switch also helped dampen a lot of that. Joelle, what do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that the PlayStation, like, State of Play, which was earlier than, like, the official Summer Games Fest, was really what I was mostly interested in. And after I kind of watched that, and then I got my Switch, I thought, well, I can catch on the rest of that, like, later. You know, like, I don't need to tune in live, like, to get the full effect of it. I can catch up, so I'm not worried about being, like, in the know of things, because I kind of felt like I had the hottest thing that was happening, which was the new Switch console. So I think a part of that, too, was just, I think there was a little bit of, you know, E3 probably had to kind of end a bit abruptly because of COVID. And then there was that, you know, space of, well, what do we do now? Because we're probably not going to meet in person. And it changed really rapidly. It felt like, maybe it didn't with, like, insiders, but as an outsider, it felt like it changed pretty rapidly to be like, okay, an online digital space mostly. And I feel like maybe E3 then hasn't quite found its footing, like, past COVID or, you know, post-COVID, of how are they going to deliver some of these announcements and keep it fresh? And is that really necessary, like, to do in the gaming world now that we have access to all this information, you know, and not even just through official studio announcements, like through leaks and through Blue Sky and other social media. You know, I just think it's trying to find its new identity a bit and what it's going to be. And I guess that's kind of how I feel about it at this point. It still hasn't quite found its footing, you know, post the lack of in-person, you know, activities.
And you made a good point that before we were meeting in person. So I think the physical space limited how many companies could be there, how many demos could be there, how many booths. And even like if Xbox was like, we're going to do it like ourselves outside of E3, or EA did the same thing, you still had a physical space that would limit what you could bring and what you could talk about when you were there. So I think it forced a level of curation. I think digital being sky's the limit, all we have is maybe like a time limit. And now everybody makes all of these showcases, all of their own streams. I'm not saying that they're easy. Like, they do a lot of work, right? It's very hard, and I respect it. But it's like, now you have all of these streams, so you have way more room, which means less curation. Because, you can, you know, if you're mostly gaming on Xbox, you can look at the showcase. If all you want is cozy games, you can look at just Wholesome Direct. But if you're trying to get, like, the gestalt of what's happening during this period of time, like we do, and like most gamers do, because most gamers game on at least, like, 1 to 2 platforms, then you're just kind of, like, fucking lost. And, like, I'm sorry, but the PC game show, if I just watch that and I'm a PC gamer, I'm missing on stuff announced by Xbox, because they release on PC first as well. It's just... I think it's overwhelming. It gotten more overwhelming since we lost E3.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned about the in-person thing, because I think the biggest thing about E3 was the prestige in going and the FOMO missing out, right? And right when you looked at all those press conferences, Xbox was a can-made video that they just released. It was only Summer Game Fest that was actually in front of a crowd. And you know what? It was probably easier to experience that here too. Now I know they also have like other things where people can get hands-on with games and all that kind of stuff for the reporting for the media and all that kind of stuff, which is important, and that's part of it, to give you like extra info besides just the press stuff that they show off. Definitely that was that fear of missing out, of not being there, of wanting to be there, of seeing, especially for us, like seeing our friends there and being like, I want to be there. That is definitely not the at the same level right now. The other thing too is, you know, those big zingers, bangers, the big what the fuck moments like that happen during these conferences, having these shock and awe. Now, definitely there were a few, but I just feel, and maybe it was just that they didn't speak to me, but one of the biggest like moments, and I know we're going to talk about all the games that intrigued us, but like this is the only hardware announcement that was dropped during any of those conferences, and it was the Xbox Rogue Ally, which looks really nice.
Sure
I gotta say, and if it's going to play, like I still have tons of questions about like, is it playing PC versions? Is it playing Xbox games? Is it, you know, Steam's on it? Like what does this do that's different from any other Ally? Is it just that it's got the Xbox branding on it? I don't know, but it was the only one, because they've been talking about it for so long, like the rumor mill and everything, and how are they going to do this, and is it worth it for Xbox to go into the mobile market and all that kind of stuff. And I think the way that they announced it was very cool too, with that like weird glass like shape that they were like pulling apart, like because their motto is anything is an Xbox right at this point, right? So that was probably one of the big WTF moment. But considering that I was like waiting for my Switch 2 and I was like, I know this is going to be more expensive, I'm like, oh my God, I just bought a handheld. Yeah, it I'm not going to lie, still a little bit of it's slender. But yeah, I do think that maybe we were missing some of those like big banger shocker moments that we have gotten other years. Now maybe, I know the Resident Evil one was big, and was a Silent Hill was the other one that probably came in one of the press conferences I didn't get a chance to see. But yeah, those just don't speak to me, so they don't feel as shocking to me, right?
Right. Well, yeah, and I think like you have a good point, and I do think Xbox was smart to kind of let people know something's coming, especially on the heels of a Nintendo Switch release, because I'm just gonna say, you know, this right now. I have a friend who doesn't have any handhelds, has never, like, you know, no Switch or anything. And he knows I have a bunch of handhelds, and he's like, I just don't really know if it's worth it. And I showed him my Switch, and he looked at it, and he looked at the games that were available, you know, even outside of Nintendo. And, you know, Outer Worlds and Cyberpunk and all these games. And he just said, and he's like, well, how much was this? And for me, for the base, just for the console, no bundle, it was $460 USD plus tax. So there's a handheld that can play these games that's under $500 that works really well. So like, you know, when I got my Ally, it was a bit of a bear to kind of set up and make sure I had everything right, because it's basically a PC. And that, you know, I had to sign into everything and make sure my Xbox worked, and all of the gizmos and gits and gadgets of the whole thing. But, you know, you pick up your Switch and it just goes. Yeah. And so this is gonna be a fairly big contender for the handheld market. And so it was really smart of Xbox to talk about this now, because now I'm thinking how they showcased this Xbox handheld and the user interface is basically of how I use my Ally. And I'm like, well, damn, like if I can get a little better hardware and an easier user interface, and also the ergonomics of it with those type of grips, it's going to be more comfortable to hold. And I think, well, maybe I should just sell the Ally and dive into that and then be done for a little bit of like a PC portable handheld. But I did think that to me was also a kind of, I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like I'm gonna keep an eye on that and see like how that goes. I'm not gonna be an early adopter of it, but it's definitely on my radar. And I was thinking about getting a PS5 Pro, but now I might think about getting this first before a Pro, just because I think the user interface of it is going to be so much easier.
You don't have a Xbox console either, right?
No, I do not have an Xbox console. I've never bought a new Xbox console. I had a used 360 for a little while, but I have mostly been a PlayStation, Nintendo, and then I built my PC. So yeah, I don't have an Xbox physical console.
You'd be a good candidate for it then.
Yeah, I just hope it works with the TV because the Ally stinks stocked. It just stinks.
Kat, any last words before we jump into the games that piqued our interest that we saw over the course of the weekend?
No.
Jeff
Keighley's still awkward, but yeah.
Yeah, he is.
Enough said.
All right. So, we all have 5 games that tickled our fancy that we want to talk about. We'll do it where we go around the room, so we'll be doing it 5 times. I think for the most part we all picked different games, so this should be very interesting. Catherine, what was the first game on your list?
Hitman 007 First Light. I don't know if it's a Hitman. It's not a Hitman game, sorry, but I put Hitman because it's by IOI that do Hitman. And I was just like sitting, I've thought many times if somebody's to reboot like fucking GoldenEye to remake it or just bring back 007, it's like these fucking people.
Yes.
And this year they were like, we're doing it. And I was like, fuck yeah. The trailer looked hype. I mean, their version of Bond looks like generic white man, whatever. But I hate to say it. This game looks like it has the stealth combat Star Wars tried to have and failed.
Oh, the latest Star Wars release?
You're
Star
hoping
Wars, Outlaws.
Outlaws? Yeah.
I think First Light might succeed where Outlaws failed.
Okay.
Just because this type of gameplay is the studio's bread and butter.
Yeah, I mean, you're trying to be an assassin in those games. I mean, Hitman is essentially James Bond when you think about it, just a different number.
I have high hopes for this game.
Cool. Joelle?
One that caught my eye pretty much off the bat was the Game of Thrones War for Westeros. I mean, fangirl gonna fangirl. And if the game looks half as good as that trailer made it out to be, then... I'm not a big real-time strategy gal, but I will give it a shot if I can conquer Westeros with dragons. So I think that one looked pretty good, and I might give that a whirl. So.
Nice. Can I say something that might be a little bit controversial?
Yes, of course.
What? No.
So, when we were watching that press conference, the Summer Games Fest one, and I saw Death Stranding 2, I actually thought it didn't look very good. And then we saw that game, the Game of Thrones one, and it looks so good. Like, that looked like Jon Snow. And I'm like, Kojima, why your game not look like that? Because when the pedestal that Kojima is put on, and then I saw Death Stranding 2, and I'm like, but why? And I'm like, I don't even think it's like stylized that way, but like, yeah, there was something about it. I was just like, damn. Like the Game of Thrones one looked like if you asked AI to make Jon Snow. So you know, like that uncanny valley, you know, it's kind of fake kind of deal that maybe we're used to seeing as gamers, because none of the characters in game look that, like as real as real life. No. But yeah, and then I was commenting on it that I'm like, I don't get it.
I don't know if it's in Unreal Engine 5, if the Game of Thrones one is, but I also think the point, like, I love the show because of the battles.
Yes.
Because the battles are nuts. And, like, part of my, studies in undergrad was Greco-Roman civilization and studies of warfare and battles. So I think which is interesting where I'm not a real-time strategy, but I think, like, when you loop in this, like, Game of Thrones hook, that's where I'm like, well, maybe I could try that. So, yeah.
Cool. First one on my list that came to mind from the Xbox showcase, The Blood of Dawnwalker. It's a dark fantasy action role-playing game with a vampire theme.
Whoa.
And, like, we don't get enough vampires. And this was dark and, whatever. It was in the mix of all those dark fantasy and horror games, but I was really into this one because I'm like, it's a vampire game. It's developed by Rebel Wolves, published by Bandai Namco, set in 14th century medieval Europe. The game was technically announced in January of this year. It's scheduled for release on PlayStation 5, Windows, and Xbox Series S and X in 2026. So yeah, more vampire game, please, because we don't get enough of them. Also, if we wanted to do a magical girl / vampire game, I would be totally into that as well. Bring that back. Someone make that game. Catherine, got another one?
Yeah. Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice Chronicles remaster, remake, whatever. I love the original Final Fantasy Tactics growing up. I fell off of this series because I skipped a few Game Boy generations, skipped a few PlayStation generations. So this one I never got to play when I was a kid. So I am stoked to play it. And I have a PlayStation 5, so I can play it. But I think it's also coming to Steam. But yeah. I was just like, yes, remake all the Final Fantasy Tactics. I need to backlog stuff I didn't play when I was 11 or 12.
Get it.
Do it. Joelle, next one on your list.
Next one on my list came from the PlayStation Direct. It is called, I think it's pronounced Karn? Cairn. And it's a climbing survival game. So you consider your path and climb anywhere on the mountain, managing your endurance and resources to survive. You'll be able to hone in your skills and test palm strength. And then there's a demo, which is out today on the PlayStation Store. And I just thought the concept of this was really interesting. The art style looks gorgeous and really immersive. And as someone who sucks at rock climbing, I thought, well, maybe I can get better at it in the digital space than I can in real life. So I'm really interested. In that. So I thought that was pretty compelling.
Did we see that before? At one point, some kind of climbing survival game, and maybe this is a second time we're seeing. Like they announced it, and now you're seeing more of it. Maybe I feel like it rings a bell.
Celeste?
No, it looked real life. Yeah. It looks like in real life, right?
Didn't they announce like a walking sim?
Maybe.
So
based in science.
It says announcement trailer officially revealed at Summer Games Fest last year, June 7th, 2024.
That's probably what I was thinking of.
Yeah. Okay. And then the demo, this was the demo announcement. I maybe missed the Summer Game Fest one of 2024. Because this to me felt like the first time I was seeing it. So
cool.
But yeah, officially announced last year. So
cool. I got another one from the Xbox showcase. It's called There Are No Ghosts at the Grand. This is, and I got the description from Steam because it's going to be available on lots of things, but inherit a crumbling English hotel and restore it by day while battling ghosts by night. With a sardonic cat, a talking power tool, and twisting supernatural plot, this is a musical mystery unlike any other. Will you be able to hold it together while everything around you falls apart? ? So yeah, narrative-driven musical adventure game. The cat reminds me of the Cheshire Cat. There are lots of people singing in that trailer. I wonder if that's like a ghost thing where they're like possessing people or something. And note, this is not like a spooky looking game in the sense that it looks scary. This is like almost like cartoon like horror, like Nightmare Before Christmas kind of esque. That gun thing you use to move objects around, decorate, build, and everything, I saw someone call it a Ghostbusterly multi-tool, which I thought was fantastic. There is no date for the release on this game. I will be actively watching it because it has a lot of the things that I like in video games. This is one that definitely spoke to me. Kat, next.
Sword of the Sea, which I do believe was revealed during the PlayStation Showcase, with the art director that did Journey and Abzu, I think that's how it's pronounced. You're this little person surfing across dunes of sand. It reminded me heavily of Journey, but also like Sable. That game that has like no combat, that's all exploration, and you have like what looks like a little car from Star Wars, and you go across the dunes. I saw that and I was like, that looks soothing. And like track record of the people that made this game is pretty good in terms of soothing games where you just kind of wander about in beautiful environments and get a cryptic story. Fucking love Journey. So, and I loved Sable. So I'm looking forward to this one. This is going to be like, I think, a good palate cleanser in between games. And I am adding that to my PlayStation wish list now that I have one. Yay!
Woo!
Joelle, next one you saw.
Next one I saw, again, it's from the State of Play from PlayStation. It's called, I think it's called Lumines? I think it's called Lumines Arise. And when I first saw this trailer, I 100% thought it was a new Tetris Effect because it's from the same studio. But it is not. It is a ground-up entry into the iconic puzzle series that's going to launch later this year on the PS5. And it's going to be VR2 compatible. It will include 30 flow state inducing stages, including lush jungles, oceans, to a more electronic frontiers, and endless outer space. So it's a kind of a puzzle vibe game. If you've played Tetris Effect, I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. Their use of lighting and music to enhance the gameplay mechanics are second to none. Like, it is stunning. And if I had a VR set, I probably would really want to try this in VR. And so I got really excited for this one because I love Tetris Effect. I love, like, if I just need, like, to sit down and kind of chillax and, maybe unwind, like, I'll pop in. I have the disc of Tetris Effect, and I'll pop it in and I'll play it for a little bit because it's so fun. So I think, like, the all-encompassing vibe of it is great. So I'm really excited to kind of dive into this when it releases.
This looks amazing, but if you have epilepsy, don't even look at the trailer, honestly.
No, yeah, it's very, very
flashy,
lights, music. Like, you will go on a trip and not be on anything, like with this essentially. So yeah, if you're kind of sensitive to that kind of stuff, this probably would be something I would caution. But it's really cool just to get kind of lost in if that's like your thing. So
cool. A bit of a theme here from the Wholesome Games Direct. Hotel Galactic The Steam description says, Hotel Galactic combines cozy management with a heartfelt tale. Build and decorate your dream tourist getaway, aid Gustav in his search for redemption, and explore a nostalgic world where bonds with creatures and serene gardens sustain a thriving colony. You are there with resources to manage, a workforce to build, and more as you cater to the demands of your ever-growing colony. It's being developed by Ancient Forge. It gives me, like, Alice in Wonderland vibes a little bit, because it's, like, I don't think this is the right word. I don't think it's anthropomorphic, because they're not looking like humans. They're animals, but they talk. So, but they look like a duck or they look like a rabbit. It has a Steam early access of July 24th with a demo out right now. So, if I manage to rip myself away from my Switch, I might give that a spin because, it looked really cute. And once again, management sim. This time, apparently, hotels are a theme for me right now. Kat, next for you.
I have two, but they're very similar. So from the Wholesome Direct, Make Room, where they give you a tiny room and a brief, and you have to decorate it. And it makes these little isometric rooms. Like, if you saw a lot of like Blender tutorials, a lot of people did their like office in that style. There's a game about it, and they'll be like, okay, here's the kitchen, design it. You can, and there's like there's a bank of objects, but you can also like design your own. And there's a mode where you have an island, shocker, with villagers, and you can clean up their rooms and decorate it and make it nicer. It looks really chill. The recommended OS is Windows 7.
Wow.
The system requirements are absolutely bonkersly low.
Is it out?
No, it's coming soon, and it was announced or teased, or at least it was the first time I saw it was during the Wholesome Direct.
Okay.
There is no date released, so I'm just kind of wish listing it on Steam. Another game, I'm doing a 2 for 2 because later in the Wholesome Direct there was like a game called Camper Van, where you're basically doing van life and you're decorating your camper van. I was like, my motivations are the same. Just give me a cramped space and let me decorate it and pretend I'm living the tiny house or the camper van life. Infinite access to the objects of your dream. As I scroll for a couch I have to buy in a set budget, and I'm like, I wish this was a video game. I didn't have to worry about the money for my couch.
Nice. Joelle.
One that I thought was really fun from the Wholesome Direct, which I think kind of fits into that puzzle vibe, but less like astral plane type of deal, is called Is This Seat Taken? I thought that was pretty cute title, and it looks like a game about a logical puzzle game where you are top down, and the art style is kind of like hand drawn, pretty minimalist, and there are people in different types of settings, and you have to seat them according to their preferences. So I found this to be really something that would tickle my fancy, mostly because it has to do with like logic and placement and going around. Like one of the scenes that they had was they were in a diner, and someone would say like, well, what do you do for a living? Well, I do, blah, blah, blah. And so you want to seat them next to someone that they would find interesting. And I think it's like people management, and maybe it really appealed to like my project manager nature of just like sorting people into the right buckets and getting them where they need to be, where they're happy, and completing the objective. So I thought that looked really fun, and there's a demo out on Steam, and I've already wishlisted it, and I might just tap into the demo to see if it's something I want to sink my teeth into. But that one I found really intriguing.
Cool.
So.
Summer Game Fest Showcase. There was this game that we've seen before, but I totally forgot about it. But now it's back around again because they announced a pretty high-profile performance actor in it. Mouse, P.I. for Hire. This is essentially like Steamboat Mickey aesthetic, you know, that old Disney kind of black and white style drawing, kind of a la what we've seen in Cuphead. The Steam description says, join private investigator Jack Pepper on his guns blazing jazz-fueled adventure in Mouse P.I. for Hire. Mouse combines the charm of hand-drawn rubber hose animation. That's what it's called? Rubber hose animation? Neat. Inspired by classic cartoons in the 1930s with adrenaline and action of an explosive first-person shooter. So yeah, never thought I would be playing a thing that looks like that kind of cartoon as a first-person shooter. But hey, we didn't know we were going to get Cuphead. We got Cuphead. Troy Baker is going to be voicing Jack Pepper in the game. That was the big announcement they had, along with showing off some more gameplay. It's going to hit PC, PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X and S, and Nintendo Switch later this year. So I'm intrigued to give that a spin when it rolls around.
Yeah, I love that there's a date for that, because...
Yeah, well, kind of a date.
Well, Nero time.
A semblance of a date. It's coming.
Yes.
All right, last round. Catherine.
Yes. Fate's End from the Spiritfarer team. I was like, they're like, hey, you're gonna battle your legacy, and your skilled tree is your family tree. And I was like, say less. Download. Also, very, very superficial of me, but like the art style, I'm sorry, the VFX, the magical girl attacks and shit, I need this. Download it right now.
Yeah, it was in my list too. That I think that was the one that we like doubled up on.
Yeah. Looks amazing. And like this one was during the Xbox showcase, so I think it stood out even more because it's the only thing they showed that was very like in a different non AAA, non 3D, non realistic style. Like there was that in a couple of other games. But this one really stood out just for the visual quality of it. Not just the contrast with everything else with Call of Duty, but just the visual quality of it, just how different it is. And I'm like, wow, Xbox has the exclusive on the Thunder Lotus game. So now I'm just Googling to see if they acquired the studio in their mass acquisition, but I don't think so.
No, I think they're just, they just tapped into it. So they have something kind of different in their roster. But like, the animation was so cool. And like, I'm really curious to see what it means. Like when they almost like go Super Saiyan and their hair, the character starts off with dark hair and then she goes to light hair and you notice that her sister had light hair. And I was like, why do they have different color hair? And I'm like, oh, it's different. No, maybe it's a power connection. I don't know. Yeah. Really pretty. Really interesting. Man, they've done some different stuff. Thunder Lotus. Between Jotun and then Spiritfarer and now this. Like, you can see it's their games when they do look very different from one another.
Yeah.
And different mechanics. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. All right, Joelle, you're going to end this off.
Oh, I'm going to end this off.
Well, yeah, because I had the same one Kat had.
Yeah, I also, Spiritfarer and, Jotun, like, I was, big. That one I was like, yep, like, I already know. Like, this one was a little bit in that category as well, too, but I just had to, like, give a shout-out to Monument Valley 3 is going to drop by Us 2 Games, and I'm so excited. I love Monument Valley. If you haven't tried this franchise, I highly, highly encourage you to do so. It's a wonderful point-and-click 3D geometric adventure that's easily played on your phone. It's a wonderful thing as you're, waiting in appointments or just vibing on the couch. Like, it's so cool. It has a really sweet and simplistic story, and the introduction and I would say evolution of character design that they do in the second one I know they have grown that in the third one, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what mechanics they introduce in the third one. And I am pumped for Monument Valley 3. So
sweet. There were so many games shown off, and like there's probably other things too that we're interested in. We just like it's just an overabundance. Like hours and hours and hours of press conferences happened over the past week. If you've got something you think that we should check out that we'd be interested in, please do put it in the Discord channel. Yeah, there was just so much content. This happens to us every year. And then this episode in particular ends up going extremely long in the tooth because, hey, we had a console launch and Summer Game Fest all at the same time. So what do you expect? You're getting an almost 2-hour episode of the Girls on Games podcast. Here we are. Yep. So with that, we close out this show. As always, check out the show notes on girlsongames.ca for links to the stories mentioned this episode. We'll try to put in links to trailers, whatever we can do here, because, yeah, so many games. So many games. Thank you, Catherine, for always pulling that together for us each week. If you have the power to rate and review this podcast where you're consuming it, that'd be much appreciated. Why? It helps with discovery, pushes us up in the rankings, and any comments you leave help us build our show. Thank you, Kat. Thank you, Joelle, for being with me and talking video games as we do each week. I much appreciate it. This is the moment where I ask you to shout out your social media handle so everybody can follow you anywhere and everywhere online. Catherine, where can people find you?
Okay. I am
2 hours, girl. 2 hours.
Yeah. I am CSDSBINS on Instagram, Blue Sky in the Discord. Send me your balcony repair suggestions.
Do Catherine's research for her, please. Joelle, where can people find you?
People can find me on Instagram at JoelleLauren87, on Blue Sky at JoelleLauren, but always hanging out with the Girls on Games Discord. Come and say hi.
And I'm Leah Jewer on most social media platforms, but of course you want to know everything there is to know about Girls on Games. You can track us down at The Girls on Games on X and Facebook. Just Girls on Games on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and TikTok. Discord.me/Girls on Games to continue this conversation and more. But of course, if you ever need to know anything at all, you can track it down at our home base. That is our website, girlsongames.ca. Thank you, Kat. Thank you, Joelle. It's been another lovely week in video games, and I'm actually going to go play Mario Kart World, goddammit. Yes!
Get it.
Bye!
Bye.